Good afternoon. Welcome to the show, Real Talk with Mary Grace. It's Wednesday, 18th of August, 2021. Let's see who's here. Sometimes it takes a minute. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. Jump on in. Looks like a couple people are coming on. Here we go. Just say hello as you're coming in so I know you're here. Hello. Good to see everybody. Thanks for being here. Share this as you come in. If somebody could put this in the Telegram, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, that would be great. So we're broadcasting live on YouTube, on Facebook, on CloudHub, and on Twitter. And it's Mary Grace Media on every platform except Twitter. That's Real Mary Grace 1. They took my other account on Twitter. So here we go. Good to see everybody. Welcome in. We've got a lot to talk about. I I'm in a little bit of disbelief about what's been happening, to be honest. Let me see. There's something that I saved that I need to see if I can find it for you guys to talk about it. Uh, you know, every day that I every day that I look at the news, like the real news, I think, oh hey Marissa, I just think like could it get any more bizarre? And then we have another news cycle. And yeah, the answer is yeah, it could. It could get more bizarre. I mean, let me just find my saved notes here. Where did I put this? I'll tell you, there's something about Telegram. There's a lot of glitches with Telegram. There's things that I save that I have no idea where they went on Telegram. Hi, Mary. Um, don't know. So I'm gonna have to go find this one thing. I wanted to find there's an analysis that Thomas Wichter did over on Quad Verum, which is a really weird platform, but I want to see if I just wanted to share this with you guys. So let me just see if I can find it on Brian Cates' platform here. Okay, I think I found it. All right, I found it. So I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Share this if you're on Facebook. Please tag your friends and share this into groups. Make sure that you are following the channel as well as liking the show. Those are two different things. And then, same thing on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and then give the show a thumbs up. And then, I did want to say one thing about chat. I noticed on YouTube that somebody was typing a message on my YouTube in all caps, and the overlords at Socialist Media removed it. I read the comment, but then I went back later, and it was gone. And so if you're typing comments, I always ask people not to use all caps anyway because it looks like you're yelling. But apparently, it hurts somebody's feelings. Somebody's feelings got hurt at Socialist Media, and they deleted your comment. Um, so that's just a warning that just type regular. They don't seem to mind if you use all lowercase. They don't like all caps. Somebody got offended. All right. But let's just keep going here. Now, there's a couple things that I wanted to issue a correction to start with. First of all, you're here, you're live with Real Talk with Mary Grace. Forgot to say that. And I'm Mary Grace. I wanted to give a correction. I was talking the other day about the 12th Amendment and about how there would be a path for 45 to get back in office. If you didn't listen to that episode on Monday, it was actually quite a long episode because I went on early and I had extra time. And I want everybody to understand that with three states decertifying, that would put the electoral college numbers back below 270 for Faker 46. And so that's just one path that could be taken. Now, I explained in that episode that according to the 12th Amendment, if you have a scenario in which neither candidate reaches the full 270, then it goes to an election, it goes to a vote by the by the states, and it goes to Congress, but it doesn't go to a vote of every member of Congress. And if it did, then we would have to worry about the feckless rhinos that pretend to be Republicans, but then end up voting with the Democrats. In this situation, the 12th Amendment doesn't allow for that. The 12th Amendment gives a one vote per state, and it's based on the majority in the state houses uh, at their individual states. I incorrectly told you that the majority was 20. What did I tell you? I think I said 20, 27. Yeah, 27 Republican. Is that right? Now I forgot what I told you. I should have written that down. I'm just going to give you the correct number. Jim Quillen wrote and told me that he looked it up. The most recent count is this. It's 30 Republican, 30 Republicans, 30 states are Republican controlled legislature. 18 are Democrat controlled. And you're thinking, oh, that doesn't add up to 50. No, it doesn't. Two are tied. And that is what the situation would come to if three states withdrew their electors from that presidential election. And so for people who are telling you there's no way that they could take the resident in chief out of office and put the real president in, you can tell them, yes, way. There is. Yes, there is. And it's called the Constitution, the 12th Amendment to the Constitution. Just remember that. It's true. I'm not making it up. Um, Nobody can go rogue. They can't abstain from voting, as far as I know. They have to do what the Constitution says. So that's an interesting scenario. And we found out that more GOP areas in Georgia have jumped on board for a full forensic audit in that state. And so, that is one path. Now, considering the complete and total debacle of the last 4 days in the Middle East, we may not even have to wait that long. Because, yeah, we would not have to wait that long. We wouldn't have to wait because, I don't know about you, but, I don't know about you because this is what they did in Afghanistan is like not just impeachment worthy, it's resignation worthy. Last I saw, there are 40,000 Americans in the wind over in Afghanistan, just trying to figure out how to get home. And the people that are supposed to be running things, really don't have a clue. I mean, at this point, we'd do better calling up Chick-fil-A and asking them to get those Americans out of Afghanistan, because the Secretary of Defense and the resident in chief and their minions, uh, State Department, Blinken, I don't like who's running things, because let's call Chick-fil-A. Let's let them get the Americans out. I'm only half kidding at this point. I mean, this is crazy. They can bring chicken. Everybody will be happy. Distract the Taliban with Chick-fil-A, get the people loaded up, process the Americans with legit passports, get them on planes, get them out there. I'm not even kidding. They're telling them, and they've been telling them this since Sunday. All right. They, meaning the State Department, issued a statement that said, uh, issued a statement um, telling Americans to shelter in place in Kabul and basically it turned into don't call us, we'll call you. And then they started telling and then they started saying, we have instructions of how to get to the airport. We're not going to come and get you. We're just going to tell you how to get there. I- I'm speechless. Okay, but I have some new technology and I want to play something for you. And I want you to see the Secretary of Defense, the entire just complete ineptitude of the situation. This is Secretary of Defense appointed by um, the resident in chief. Now, so let me just be clear on this. They got a whole plane load of refugees out. They managed to get them on a plane. They couldn't get the Americans to the airport to get them on a plane. Lost control. They totally lost the plot. Okay, let me see if I can play this. You guys are gonna like this.
Able to help with that.
Now. All right, watch this. Tell me if the volume's okay.
Be undertaken. You have the capability to get there, but how do you get those people inside so that they can actually get on those planes? And both of you have served in major command roles inside Afghanistan. Did you not see the possibility that the Afghan security forces were not up to this fight?
We continue to work with the State Department officials on the ground to improve the procedures, at the entry points to make sure that we can speed up the process of getting people in and move them onward. And so the state is deploying more consular officers to be able to help with that. As I stated earlier, we're going to push more military assistance down to the entry points to facilitate these efforts. But we're really working hard to get as many people through as possible. And quite frankly, it's obvious we're not close to where we want to be in terms of getting the numbers through. So we're going to work that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we're going to get everyone that we can possibly evacuate it. And I'll do that as long as we possibly can until the clock runs out or we run out of capability.
And also about the Afghan security forces, did you feel that they were ever up to this fight, or did you not see this coming, that they were not up to the fight?
Well, I stood behind this podium and it said that the Afghan security forces had the capacity, and by that I mean they had the training, the size, the capability to defend their country. This comes down to an issue of will and leadership. And no, I did not, nor did anyone else, see a collapse of an army that size in 11 days.
Idris.
Okay. Can you hear me? What did you think about my technology there? Okay, I don't want to lose focus. Where do we start? I did not see. Okay, this is the chair. Is he the chairman of the Joint Chiefs? I can't tell since he grew a vagina. Sorry for the crudity, but seriously, Millie, why is he still there? Now, I did not see. I didn't see the coalition forces, the Afghan forces collapsing. I didn't see a collapse like this happening in 11 days. And then, Mr. Secretary of Defense, we're going to keep going until the clock runs out. What clock? Guys, I mean, I'm like nonstop talking. This is one of those things that has me speechless. Here are some of the things he says. Okay, we've got consular officers at the checkpoints. I want to explain something to you guys. I want to explain something. Okay, a lot of you guys have been in countries, in third world countries. How many of you have been? I just want to explain something. Sending a consular office, sending a consular officer in a hostile takeover situation to manage this kind of movement, a full scale evacuation of people from a country. Consular officers, for the most part, are clerks. They're paper pushers. They are bureaucrats who get manicures. Are you with me? They're not the military. And so the Secretary of Defense of the guy lives in San Francisco, does that count? Yes, third world country. The Secretary of Defense has sent office clerks to manage the full-scale evacuation of 40,000 Americans from a country that has just fallen to people that just hang people from rafters in the street because they have a different political ideology. Okay. And then he says, we're going to push the military down there. Well, if you hadn't taken them out, you wouldn't have to push them down. Okay. Right? I mean, like I said, I feel like Chick-fil-A could be doing a better job right now. I really do. I really do. Am I the only one that feels that way? I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. So how is this working? Do they have a little tent set up? They're saying they're at these gates. So I'm assuming that these are checkpoints around Kabul. And so what are they doing? Are they setting up like a little event tent with a folding table? Come on up and show your papers. Are they setting up, do they have Wi-Fi set up out there to run them through the database? Do they have like a DHS scenario where they've got an optical scanner for their documents? How is that working exactly? And who's protecting the clerks? Um, like who's protecting them? Who's going to ensure their safety? I have so many questions. I have questions. I do. I'm sure you do too. How is this even like competent? How is there any indication of competence from this situation? Yeah. So you've got the consular staff that are down there, consular officers that are processing the paperwork. What they're not like the military. Now, technically, if they work for the State Department, they're supposed to serve at the pleasure of the president. But how what vested interest do they have in not just saving their own hide? It's not like the military. The military is sworn to follow orders to do the job that they were sent to do. Um, so yeah, and then okay, I want to go back. I want to go to the let me save this one thing first. Uh, I'm going to send this to my okay, all right, got it. Now, I want to go to George Stephanopoulos was interviewing the resident in chief, and he literally said that would be Faker 46. Basically, just washed his hands of it. They're putting the blame on the Afghan forces. They're putting the blame on the president of Afghanistan for leaving. Oh, well, the president left. So, yeah, we just decided to hightail it out of there. What civilians? Oh, those people. I mean, and then George Stephanopoulos asks him, well, what about the people that were hanging on to the military planes and falling to their deaths? Here's what Faker 46 said. That was 4 or 5 days ago. That was his response. Does that remind you of anybody? At this point, what difference does it make? This is where we are. This is where we are. Now, are you angry yet? Are you incensed? Are you just in a state of disbelief about this? Because I am. Now, this brings me to what I've been wondering about this whole thing. Because yesterday on Hannity, um, President Trump. Hold on a second. Okay, yesterday on Hannity, President Trump was asked, if you could, would you go get the people out? And President Trump said, I can't answer that question right now, but I think essentially he said, I think if I could, you would like the answer. All right, that's pretty much where President Trump left it. And 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 I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about what's really going on there. And if you recall, last week, I think it was, I talked to you about devolution, about the process known as devolution, which essentially says that if we're at war, there has to be a contingency plan for the president to maintain control as commander in chief, and that there would be a very small cadre of loyal individuals who are in the know about the plan. Do you remember that? And and so there is a person, a researcher, Patel Patriot, who has gone into great depth about this concept. It's not a concept; it's an actual operation, for lack of a better word. And the what it would mean is that President Trump is still in office, and that what you're seeing is a pretender, and that time is playing out in such a way that when President Trump makes the call, that things will turn around. Now, let's just say for a minute, I actually believe there's a high likelihood is that's what we're in, that we're in a state of devolution. I do believe I am very leaning more and more toward that. And based on what I told you the other day about my understanding of the data that Mike Lindell got, I believe that it was given to him, declassified and given to him by President Trump. This is the official results of what happened on November 3rd. And so with all of that in mind, let's think about this for a minute. We know that President Trump had a plan, a good plan for the drawdown in Afghanistan. We do know that. And we know if devolution is real, then he is the commander in chief. But we also know that he that Faker 46, a lot, that there are people who still aren't awake. Um, let me just collect my thoughts here. I keep reading your chat. I have to ignore the chat for a minute. So, if President Trump is still in office, and we already had a plan to draw down the troops in Afghanistan, we now know that the Faker 46 administration actually scrapped that plan quite some time ago, and that we've seen a very strong example with the Secretary of Defense of complete and utter mismanagement and incompetence. We're seeing all that play out. One of the things that we've been told is sometimes you have to show the people, you can't simply tell them. I believe that what is happening right now is a major red pill for a lot of Democrats who may have even voted for Faker 46. And a lot of those people served in the military. And this is a point that Thomas Wichter makes over on Quad Verum. If you don't know who he is, he knows a lot about military strategy and history and battles and things like that. He's very eccentric, but this is kind of his lane. And so when when we see something like this happen, we're just going, why? How? What the heck is going on? It's devastating, and it's devastating to a lot of people. There are a lot of innocent people are suffering. At the same time, though, you've got people who are waking up and going, 20 years in the desert, in the sand, losing lives, losing limbs, and this is the thanks we get. This is this is the appreciation we get from the supposed commander in chief. All right. So, um, so, so given this situation, all right, what what could be playing out right now? Well, one of the things that we know about President Trump is that President Trump went on a few trips when he first got elected. He doesn't like traveling abroad. But where did he go? Where did he go when he first got elected? What was his first trip abroad? What was his first trip abroad? Anybody remember? Think about it. Think about it. Saudi Arabia. Do you remember that? Yeah, he went over there to Saudi Arabia. He actually went to a lot of states. I mean, a lot of countries. And so he didn't just go to Saudi Arabia. He actually went to Saudi Arabia, and he was given royal treatment. They did the sword dance for him. Do you remember that? They honored him there. And one of the things, I'm not an expert on the Middle East by any means, but if you noticed, ever since that visit, we pretty much had the upper hand in that region. Okay. And and so now you have about 200 days of Faker 46, and the wheels are falling off. I mean, like, big time. Like, the bus is sitting on cinder blocks right now in the 46 administration. Is it fair to say that? I mean, yeah. And the dogs are chained in the yard. This is where we are in the Faker 46 administration. And so it didn't take long. It didn't take long for people to see that. But in the meantime, the way that the Middle East works is that you have there's a pecking order. And I think it's pretty safe to say that the Saudis are at the top of that pecking order. And this actually ties into a lot of what went on in Benghazi and things like that. But let's just stick with what's going on right now in Afghanistan. So we know, and I'm sort of thinking this out as I talk to you, so bear with me, okay? We know that during the 45 administration, we pretty much eradicated ISIS and the Taliban, and President Trump made a lot of negotiations. And one thing that I know about Benghazi, and one thing that I know about, I'm sorry, about Gaddafi, is that when Hillary Clinton had him assassinated, that was just sort of the beginning of the end in that region. Because as bad as he was actually he was like the top gangster. And so he was keeping everything at bay. And so, he was like at the top of the pecking order, and he had everybody under control under him. And that really messed up a lot of the balance of power in that area. And now we know, now that we see what happened in Benghazi, we know that she knew what she was doing, because having Gaddafi in charge made it hard for Hillary and her compadres to commit the crimes that they were committing. That was because Benghazi was all about a cover up, right? Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, but are you tracking with me? So now let's go over to Afghanistan. Let's go over to the Middle East. Let's go over to that region, and let's look at the fact that there is a pecking order in that area, and that, you've got the Taliban, you've got these warlords, you've got goat herders. It's very tribal. And no matter what we do after thousands and thousands of years, we're not going to eradicate those people or those factions. It's not going to happen. One thing you can do, though, is you can negotiate with the top dogs. Okay? Are you tracking with me? And it's important that people understand this, because I think what's happening right now is that I think, and this is something that Victor is talking about, I actually think that the situation isn't as dire as people might think that it is. I think that there are some things happening right now that have more to do with optics than with the actual truth. Again, I'm not an expert on that region. I'm just telling you what my spidey senses are telling me. And I feel like knowing President Trump and knowing how adept he is at the art of war, I feel like this was a setup. I feel like and I don't know where we stand with the Taliban, but if you wanted to get all of the bad guys in one place, what better way to do that? What better way to do that than to get to like leave the palace, the presidential palace, open and get them all to walk in? Now, I, for one, don't actually think that the Taliban are driving the ship. I don't think they're calling the shots. I actually think it's China. And there are a lot of people who have much better understanding of the region than I do, who believe that, because especially because that area is extremely mineral rich. There's tremendous resources there, trillions of dollars worth of minerals. And we all know that the CCP is on a march for global domination. And what better way to do that than to think that you have this strategic nation to take over? So there's just what I want to say to you is there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. And so, and here's the other thing. I think you probably figured this out, that the factions that are actually in power over there, they respond to strength. Um, they don't have any respect or any willingness even to meet with Faker 46. Just in the same way that they were laughing at Hussein when he did his apology tour around the country. So I just want to say, I think yes, we need to pray for the people who are left behind there. I'm not saying that things aren't bad for the people that are there. What I'm saying to you is I think that we need to sort of take a step back and really have discernment and start to put some of the pieces together about what's really going on and about who's in charge. Now, one of the things that I want to remind you is that, we are at war, not just in the Middle East, but we're at war against the global elites that want complete total domination and control of the world, uh, who stole an election in America as part of that process. And so I think that as part of draining the swamp and part of righting the ship, I think there are some things that have to happen on the world stage, and there are some disclosures that have to take place, and there are some eyes that have to be open in order for people to come around to see um, who's really in charge. Are you guys tracking with me? I apologize that I don't have my thoughts a little more coherent today. I'm just sort of working this out as I talk to you, and some of your comments are sort of tipping off some thoughts. So thank you for your patience. I want to read your comments here for just a minute because I think that I think you guys are seeing where I'm tracking with this. I'm also I'm trying to, you know, self-censor a little bit too because I don't want the broadcast to be taken down. So that's part of the situation that we're dealing with. Let me just go back and look at your at your comments. All right. Yeah, Toki. Yeah, Toki on YouTube, your comments are the ones that got removed for typing in all caps. So if you're going to be an audience member, just be aware of what you're saying and how you're commenting because the socialist media overlords get pretty ticked off about stuff. Okay, so we need you to be a team player. Now, let me just look at your comments. So I think that yeah, I mean there's a lot of people that still need to wake up and I talked about that the other day. I think in some ways we just sort of need to rip the band-aid off. We can't coddle them along much longer in the delusion that they're living in. But what I was going to say about the collateral damage is, you know, the sad thing about all of this is that we are at war. And as hard as it is to see some of what we're seeing, I think that we need to remember that President Trump is deeply compassionate. He cares about human life. Human suffering is a big deal to him. He is not going to knowingly. He's not going to put people in harm's way knowingly if he can avoid it. Now that being said, you have to make this. You have to make very difficult decisions at times when it comes to getting to the overall goal, which is to dismantle the cabal, dismantle the globalist grip on the world. Um, and so I just want you guys to remember that and keep that in mind so that uh you don't get into a tailspin, don't get thrown into a tailspin about some of the details that you see coming out of Afghanistan. And always remember that our side is also putting out disinformation. It's not just the left. We're putting out disinformation for our enemies so that we can trick our enemies. And it's just like last week at the Cyber Symposium, there were some things that were happening that I truly believe were meant to draw in the enemy. And I believe that a lot of what is happening right now in Afghanistan is along those same lines. Because, for example, if you are running an operation to get to the leaders of a terror cell, especially if those leaders are connected with China, uh, then what better way to get those communications than to have the people that you're tracking all in one central location? What better way to get a bead on your enemy than to bring them all into one place. And so whoever's calling the shots with the Taliban um, is maybe maybe we're listening to their conversations. Maybe we have people inside. There's always that possibility. I think it's a very strong one. What do you think? And so one of the things that I want you to notice here when you listen to when you listen to the Secretary of Defense current Faker 46 and then you listen to President Trump, you can see so clearly the juxtaposition of leadership and failure. This administration right now is leading from behind. It couldn't be more obvious that they are leading from behind. I mean, when you have the Secretary of Defense sitting there acting like he got caught by surprise and is just now figuring out that um that we've got to get these civilians out, and he's just now telling you 4 days into the crisis that like 4 days into the crisis that they're thinking about sending the military down there to help the consular officials. Can you imagine hearing President Trump talk like that? I mean, imagine. No, the thing that President Trump would say is anybody that stands, he would say, we're sending in a battalion to get our people out, and anybody that stands in our way is going to be met with fire and fury, the likes of which you've never seen. Right? Some people are asking me why I'm not saying Real 45. I decided to just go ahead and say his name. I'm going to see how it goes for a few days. It seems to go up and down, but it might be good just to avoid saying his name in the chat, just in case they're crawling the chat. Okay. But thank you for asking that question. Now, but you see what I'm saying? Like, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. And all those people that voted for Faker 46 because, Orange Man bad, he's so mean. Now they're sitting here watching a feckless administration make excuses for why they left our people behind and just trying to figure out, and literally the Secretary of Defense telling you, we're going to send your sons and daughters back into that place and to put themselves in danger with a regime that we had eradicated up until now. And secondly, that it wasn't even necessary. And third, that every sacrifice that was made over the last 20 years was for nothing. That we have zero respect or appreciation for what you and your family have been through defending that little piece of sand over there on the side of Pakistan. I mean, this is a major difference, major juxtaposition. And so I think a lot of what is going on right now is to show the opposites, and it's so I just realized that my header thing is spelled wrong. But the whole point is that sometimes people don't understand. What does it say? Don't it always seem to go? You don't know what you got till it's gone, right? That's what we're dealing with right now. It's like I would give anything for a mean tweet. And, yeah, a real press conference with a president that answers questions, even if you don't like the answers. Wouldn't you? I mean, this is the deal right now. I know I misspelled Wednesday. It looks like there's no Y on the thing too. I'll fix it in a little bit. I was in a hurry. Okay. So but the whole point is, and I was a reading specialist. I don't know if you know this, but I want to tell you something. Sometimes people have to see Sometimes people have to see what's wrong. I'm going to give you an example from teaching. Sometimes people have to see what's wrong um, before they understand what things are supposed to be. And I'll give you an example. So when you teach kids how to read, one of the things that goes hand in hand with that is writing and spelling. And 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 so when you're teaching them how vowels work, for example, sometimes they have to actually experience the they have to experience the mistake before they make a differentiation between what how words work and what you need to make a word work a certain way. So for example, when you're writing the word oh what's a good word? Uh um Okay, so for example, the word rat, R-A-T. That's a good word since we're dealing with Democrats. Okay. Uh, so you got the word rat. Well, a kid that doesn't understand how spelling works is going to write out if they might be writing the word rat, R-A-T, and then if they don't understand long vowels, they would write the word rate, R-A-T. But when you have to read it out loud, and they get to the word rate, like, how would you rate this rat? Well, I would rate this rat, a 10 out of 10. That's the kind of thing. So when a kid is learning to write and all of a sudden they get to where they have written the word rate, R-A-T, with no silent E, all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and they go, wait a minute, I have to have something to differentiate between rat and rate. And it's not until they see the two side by side that they make the connection and that the light bulb goes off and they realize that there is a very real distinction and that what you put there and what you leave out makes a difference, that words matter, that letters matter. And I think we're in that situation now, right? We're in that situation right now because, you know, a lot of people have fooled themselves into thinking that the sleeper up in the White House is actually a leader. And he just sat there and told you that he doesn't care about what happened to innocent civilians 4 days ago and that they didn't actually have a plan to get people out of Afghanistan and that even they didn't see that everything was just going to fall to pieces in a 10-day time. And then you got President Trump, who, the minute things got out of hand over in Syria, he sent in the Wonder Dog to take out Soleimani and, chew him up into 1,000 pieces. He sat at dinner at Mar-a-Lago with President Xi and said, oh, yeah, we just bombed Syria. Do you want some chocolate cake? This is the difference. All right. President Trump is leading from the front. He always has, he always will. And the people over there, the people all around the world, the real leaders are respecting this. And the people that have been brainwashed and gaslit into thinking that that person that is sitting up there in the White House or wherever he is eating ice cream, that's a leader, now they're actually seeing it like side by side. Okay? Now, you with me? How are we doing? Did you guys hear Barley just now? He was crying over something. Yeah. He was putting his little punctuation on my talk. All right, let me look at the chat. So, and the crazy thing that's driving them crazy is that they're sitting here lying through their teeth, and the thing is, like, they know that we know that Trump knows their every move. That's the aggravating thing for them. And maybe, well, that probably read about devolution too. And the ones that maybe have a little bit of sense left, they know that their time is up, that their numbers are, that their numbers, their days are numbered, right? So I actually think this is, I think it's good. I think we're in a good place. Because, the other day I said we kind of have to rip the Band-Aid off. I think we're starting to get there, you know? Because the other thing that Faker 46 did today is he went on some news and said, or did a, what, it's not a press conference, it's he gives remarks. He doesn't give a press conference because he doesn't take questions. So he just goes out, reads the teleprompter. The teleprompter tells him you have to leave now, and so he turns around and walks away. But he was out there now. Now he's threatening the governors to sanction them and to take punitive action against them for running their states the way that they want to with regard to the Rona. And he's trying to shame them. He's trying to shame people into feeling guilty for not doing your part to keep kids from making people sick and spreading the Rona. And his what do you call it? Minister of Health, whoever it is now, is blaming everything on you guessed it, the people who never took the jab. Now we have a pandemic of the unvaccinated. That's what they're calling it, even though all the evidence points to the exact opposite scenario, that people who actually took it are much more likely to have breakthrough infections. But he's out there literally threatening people to I don't know what he can do. I don't know what he can do to the governors. He can't really. He forgot about something called states' rights. It's crazy. Yeah, they're desperate. Now, speaking of the jab, I wanted to run something by you guys. There was something that there was a video that I came across. There's somebody on there's somebody on Telegram called David Avocado Wolf. Have you him? He's like a natural medicine doctor. I don't know if Delta is from the shot, but it's a mutation, and the shot is actually making people more susceptible to it. Somebody on I'm responding to a comment on YouTube. So the shot is making people more susceptible. But there is a guy on Telegram. I shared his video. Hey Donna, how are you? I shared his video in my Telegram last night because he was talking about the numbers, and I want to see what you guys think about this. He said that just by doing the math, he said it's just mathematically impossible for us to have gotten 150 million people jabbed. And he went through the math, and I think he had a pretty compelling argument, because he said, does anybody know how many billions of doses they say are out there right now? Does anybody know how many millions or how many billions are out there? It's like a few billion. And so let's just say that in America, we've had 150 million doses. Who has the biggest population? China. So he's saying that equates to Pat Cox on YouTube has the numbers. He said that equates to a jab every second. And so he's breaking it down. He's breaking it down by the amount of time that we actually have in a day or in a year. Okay, Valerie, are they saying 70 million? I thought, well, isn't the goal to get 150 million? What's the party line right now? What are the numbers? How many people are they saying have gotten it in the US? Okay, so he's saying if there's even if you give a jab every second, there's 31 million seconds in a year. So he's saying that mathematically it doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. And then he's also saying, okay, somebody's saying that they've read that it was 150 million. That's what I thought too. So his point is that that it's just mathematically impossible, and that they're cooking the numbers just like with everything else. He also feels pretty strongly that that a lot of people got saline, because given the adverse reactions that we've already seen, um, given the adverse reactions that we've already seen, it wouldn't make, like, we would have a lot more fallout. Now I know that there's things that are going to happen down the road, um, but uh, but I think there's a case to be made that not as many people as we actually think have had it. And this is one of the reasons that they're pushing so hard, because they know that there's a lot more resistance. There's a lot more people who are dedicated to freedom of choice than they bargained for, is what's happening. And now we see that in the fact that um, that the overlords who are controlling this narrative and who are pushing people to comply. At this point, I think it's safe to say that it's not about public health, it's about control and compliance. Are we all in agreement about that? I think that's a good thing to be in agreement on, because what we're seeing now is that people are being denied medical treatment for lack of having the jab, for non-compliance. I never thought I would see the day that happened. I never thought I would see that. I never thought I would see that, because, I mean, here's the thing, like, you go into the hospital, you go into the emergency room. I mean, like they treat illegal aliens in the emergency room even without an ID. Like, if somebody comes in and they're bleeding from the head, the Hippocratic oath is you take care of them. You give them you give them the treatment, right? Like, you save the life, and then you figure out how they're going to pay for it. Isn't that the way it's supposed to work? Right? And so now we have a situation where we've got people who are, I mean, somebody in my Telegram just was writing about this. They have a family member who was who was uh who was denied care. They were denied treatment for the Rona after, because they didn't have the jab, and they died. This is what's going on. Now, the other thing that's happening is that people are getting removed from transplant lists because they don't have the jab. Oh, he's trying to get on the piano. Hold on a second. Come here. Okay. Can you guys see him, Barley George? Uh he gets up on the piano and he changes all the settings, and then when I play it goes a little wonky. But the point is that this is crazy. I mean, this is totalitarianism, to an absolute degree that I've never even heard of. And I have a glass of water up here. That's really what this is all about. Yeah. Now, the other thing that's happening though, and this leads me to my next thing, that uh, that nurses right now, hospital staff and nurses are actually walking out. They're walking off the job. This is happening all over the country, for real. And Tom Lentz was talking about this last night on Steel Truth, on Ann Vandersteel, on with Ann Vandersteel on Steel Truth. And I have a friend who was telling me that this is happening in Ohio. And so there's two things that are happening here. These healthcare professionals are getting fed up, because they're saying We spent 18 months on the front lines being called heroes. We didn't have any protection, much less a jab. And now you're firing us and calling us terrorists for even questioning whether we want to put this in our body. Are you kidding me? And so they're walking off the job. And what's happening is it's resulting in a breakdown in the system. And now you're hearing now you're hearing about hospitals being full and overcome with patients. But what you have to remember is he's trying to get in the water. That's what's happening here. I put a top on this time. What you have to remember is anytime you hear that, you need to look at their staffing. Anytime somebody tells you that a hospital is full and that they're at capacity, the first question you would ask is, do they have are they fully staffed? Do they have a full ICU staff? Right? Because that's the problem. Do they have a full ER staff? Because these nurses are walking off the job. And I told you this a couple weeks ago when I was talking about the teacher situation. It's the same thing with nursing. Nurses have the upper hand. Nurses are completely in control here because they're the ones who are going to be able to say, you want me to cover a shift? Great. I'm not wearing a face diaper and I'm not getting a jab. It's your choice. Or you want to turn away business from your hospital because it's all a numbers game. And the same thing with the schools. So the county, Barley couldn't get in the water, so he's gone. The county that I live in is short on teachers. They've already started school, and they don't have enough teachers. I told you they weren't going to. They don't have enough teachers at the elementary level, which is kind of unusual. And so, my point about getting into the schools is that we need good patriotic individuals to step up and step in and take on these roles. And if you have experience, if you have a degree, if you have, if you homeschooled, if you have a specialty area, there's a very high likelihood that you could get hired, even without the credentials. Yeah, Millie is making a point. I'm going to go back to the nursing thing. Millie's making a point. Beds are full in ICUs could mean that 5 people because they only have 2 nurses. Yeah. And so, for example, here in my area, there's a big university hospital. And the headlines on Sunday, surge in cases at the hospital, surge in COVID cases. And if you read it, I think I talked about this. You read the article, it's buried in the story. It says that there's 30 cases and that only half of them are in the ICU, an ICU that accommodates 100 or more. So it's a very minuscule amount. People are in there for other things. And then you've got, so they're in there for that. But wait for it, because our people in our area are so freaking scared. But the people in the hospital, a lot of them are airlifted in because it's a major level 1 trauma center. And so people from all over the state or other states are brought into this hospital. And so it's not even local people that are getting it. So you got 30 people with the Rona or the Delta, whatever it is, that are in the hospital. And the media the media is telling you, the hospital's overrun. No, it's not. There's not a surge. It's 30 people. Not even all of them are in ICU. And I get that people are sick, but I mean, people have got to stop with the stupid, and they have to learn to read past the headlines. We're not back in, a massive. We're not back in a massive. Well, we weren't ever really in a massive thing. There were pockets around the country that were in a massive crisis. Most places weren't. All right. Shay says that Vanderbilt in Nashville posted about it. Yeah, same thing. So just this is something that this is an easy way to maybe get through to people that are just buying into the fear. Just get the article and say, "Okay, let's break down the math and see what that actually means when they say there's a surge. Let's see what their definition of surge is." Okay? Um, so, I mean, this is insane. It's insane. Greg on YouTube says, CEOs of hospitals are corrupt and take orders from big pharma. Absolutely true. The AMA, big pharma, the insurance companies, big ag, they're all basically employed in the laboratory of Dr. Evil. Um, yeah. So that is what's going on. Now, a lot of you guys are in situations where you're now being faced with being fired. I have a friend in Florida who was fired from her job last week because even though her governor has forbidden the mandates, her employer is completely ignoring that. And she went to work last week without the face diaper and they sent her home and she refuses to comply. And here's the thing, she's an immigrant, legal, loves our president, loves the flag, loves the Second Amendment, understands what corruption looks like because the country that she's from is like insanely corrupt. And she's one of the most patriotic people I know. And she took a stand. She took a stand. She's not backing down. And I think a lot of you guys are going to be in that situation. And as a matter of fact, I think a lot of people are going to be, I think more people are going to do that. So don't be afraid. If you can, if you have savings, that's great. If you're in a situation where you can take a stand, it might not be the most comfortable thing. It feels awful to be singled out. Um, I've gone head to head with some people in some pretty serious situations over the last year because I just refuse to back down when it comes to my freedoms. Um, but in case you haven't noticed, it's not going to get easier. People are going to they're going to push and push and push. And it is past time that we, the people, push back. That is what is happening right now. And I don't know if you guys have been following Lynn Wood's channel on Telegram. He's been talking about this. He is actually, let me go find his channel. Ann Vandersteel is Dr. Flynn, a lot of influencers. Oh, let me find Linwood. He doesn't post that much during the day. He's a night owl. Come on, Linwood, where are you? How could you be that far down? There you go. Okay. All right. So Linwood is part of the group that is heading up a nationwide, maybe worldwide strike. Have you guys heard about the Strike for Freedom? Strikeforfreedom.com. So we're working on a plan, to strikeforfreedom.com. We're working on a plan to start a nationwide strike starting on 9/11. And one of the things that you need to start doing to take part in that is start preparing, start stocking up, start prepping, because we're going to be urging people to stay away from the corporate globalist cabal run businesses. And that's going to affect you if you're willing to participate. And so we're urging you to start identifying. There's going to be more details coming out, but one of the things that we're urging people to do is start identifying local stores, local businesses that you can support and patronize. And so that might make your life a little bit more complicated. Um, but it's going to be effective because we, the people, are the ones who are, you know, flying the planes, treating the patients, uh, checking out the groceries, cleaning the houses, fixing the cars. It's all down to we, the people. And so, if enough people unite around this effort, it doesn't take that many. We've seen this in the hospitals. We've seen what happens when just a handful of nurses walk out and say, enough, enough. We are not going to be bullied into making medical choices that go against our own wishes. Um, so the information is forthcoming. We're in the organizing process. So just keep your eyes open. The website is strikeforfreedom.com. And like I said, this idea was just birthed yesterday, literally yesterday, in a phone conversation between Linwood and Ann Vandersteel. So this is a grassroots effort that is being launched even as we speak. Okay. But my point is, one of the things that we are going to be urging is that people start start that people start supporting local businesses almost exclusively as much as you can. All right. Um, I'm going to share Lynn Wood's post on my Telegram. He said, "Stay tuned." All right. So they must. I think they just bought the URL. Okay. So you know, give them time. All right. Um, but this is absolutely this is all start. It's happening like even as we speak. Okay. And so there's going to be a lot happening, and it literally all hinges on you, me, we the people making decisions to in some cases walk out of your job, walk away from a big box store, bypass the big box store, and go to a co-op, go to a farmer's market, go to uh, a locally owned business. So this is this is something that I wanted to give you a taste of. Now, one of the things that we're going to be doing with our superfoods is we're going to be putting together a prepper pack, and we don't have it packaged yet. We've been working with the manufacturer, the supplier, to get this put together. If you're interested in getting some links and knowing what it is that we're going to put in the prepper pack, I've put some links together. So just send me an email, info@marygracemedia.com, so that you can start preparing. I'm recommending that everybody start preparing. One of the things that I would be doing is getting water. You can get barrels that you can put water in, and you can oh, Valerie, I just saw your comment. Yes, definitely. Yeah, we can talk later. I maybe tonight. We just text me, okay? For sure. That's awesome. Um but what I was going to say is, like, one thing you might want to start doing is just start collecting, collect stuff that you think you might need. It's not going to go bad, all right? Especially if you get superfoods. It's just fantastic. Okay? Now, one of the things that I wanted to say is um one of the things I wanted to say is that um that we really need to be doing all of this from a place of prayer and faith, because we know that God is bigger than the plans of the enemy. We know that what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good. Okay, and so I want people to be prepared but not scared. And I think there's wisdom. There's wisdom in just having extra things on hand and knowing who your um, and knowing just who your sources are for the things that you need. Okay. Um, now Let's see. Somebody said, "Do you think they'll shut off the water?" Well, there's some problems happening out on Lake Mead right now. The level is getting so low that there may be some impact on the Hoover Dam, and that actually affects water and also electricity um, out in California. So that's something to think about. And then, we've seen like rolling blackouts in a lot of places. Um, I think my take on it is just like we've seen in California, where the corrupt governments will cut off power and things like that because of drought or heat or too much consumption or whatever. They use it as an excuse. They use it as an excuse um, as a means of control. All right. So just be prepared. Pat on YouTube said, "Get a Berkey water system. It purifies your water." Yeah, so that's definitely something to think about. Yeah, it is time to get superfoods. Info at marygracemedia.com. Info at marygracemedia.com is how you're going to get the superfoods information. Okay. Let's see. Um, SoCal Gal, there's not a sale right now, but if you write to me, you're gonna save over $100 off of our most popular pack. You're gonna save off of retail. Okay. Info at marygracemedia.com. So let's see. Now, there's one thing I wanted to say about Amazon, and you make your own decision about this, but a lot of people don't realize that the way that Amazon works is that the majority of the products that you buy on Amazon are sold by independent business owners. I don't know if you know that. And so when you go to Amazon, if you completely stop buying at Amazon, you're actually hurting independent business owners. Now now you have to do a little bit of research and know what you're looking for, but I'm not necessarily going to be in full support of completely shutting off Amazon and also Walmart, because the Walmart app actually does the same thing that Amazon does. They have independent sellers who use Amazon as a distribution point. Now, is it ideal? No. But what I'm saying is that you could actually be cutting off the revenue and the businesses for independently owned businesses that go through Amazon. Um, and and so, um, depending on the company, when you go on Amazon, you can tell, first of all, it'll say, I think it says like sold and fulfilled by Amazon. So there's certain things like everyday staples that Amazon they control the market on it. And so independent sellers don't even try to compete against Amazon for pricing. Um, but there's a lot of stuff that is sold by individual sellers. So when you click on an item to buy it, you can see who's actually selling it. Now, if they have a website and you can go to their website directly, you can go to their website directly, uh, then you can buy directly from them. That's a choice that you can make in some cases. Now, some sellers on Amazon do not ship directly from their own home or office or wherever warehouse. They only fulfill through Amazon. So that's important to understand. So Laura on Facebook is saying, "We sell on Amazon. We are an independent company." So be very careful before you completely shut down Amazon, because you could actually be hurting a lot of independent sellers. And the same goes with Walmart, because Walmart is doing the same thing. I'm not saying go shop at Walmart. I'm saying that independent sellers use Walmart as a distribution point. That's what I'm saying. So just be aware of that. All right. You don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater here, because you could be you could be really hurting some independent businesses. All right. But one of the things that we're going to be doing as part of the Strike for Freedom movement is hopefully we're going to be compiling lists of independently owned businesses and strategies that you can use to get away from the corporatocracy. All right. Um, so yeah, Vicky on YouTube is saying I've started to find out the seller's direct site too for some items. Yeah. So, it depends on the seller. Look at their rating, look at where they are located, look at their policies, and see if it's going to make more sense if they offer. That was out of nowhere. Okay. So, again, turn off the mic. So I'm going to stress this again because somebody on Facebook is trying to tell me that somebody's pointing out that Walmart is really pushing the jab. I get that. Again, I'm going to tell you the people who choose to distribute their products through Walmart are doing it as a means to compete in the marketplace. It doesn't mean that they are full scale in support of every policy that Walmart has. I don't know what's happening here. It's an attack because I'm getting the truth out. So thank you for your prayers here. um so yeah, people actually make a living. People make a living having independently run businesses, and they advertise on platforms like Instagram and Facebook and Walmart and Amazon. So if you cut off complete contact with all of those entities, you're actually kneecapping businesses that are run by independent patriots around the country. That's my point. Okay. So don't don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. That's what we need to understand. Okay. Now, somebody just said that Real 45 is on Newsmax. Is it 7:00? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to end this broadcast. So sorry about the coughing. Thank you for your prayers, everybody. And I'm going to be back on tomorrow. I believe that my contractor is going to be here in the evening. So it's likely that I will be on a little bit earlier in the day tomorrow. Okay. Again, can somebody respond to Scott on YouTube about that? So it looks like President Trump is on Newsmax. If anybody has a link, share it with me so that we can get it into the Telegram page. Make sure you're following my Telegram, Mary Grace Media Official. Okay. Yeah, there's no perfect company. You're not going to get it right 100%. Okay. But do not completely walk away from the independent sellers who are trying to make a living through Amazon and some of these other platforms. You're going to kneecap them. All right. So just be aware of that. All right. That's all. So I will see you hopefully tomorrow. Just keep watching, turn on your notifications, make sure you follow my channel, follow Mary Grace Media on Facebook, follow me on YouTube, on Clout Hub channel 111, and on where else? Twitter, Real Mary Grace 1, the number 1. Okay, thank you to my moderators. I will be back. Come back on YouTube when you watch this broadcast and leave comments, and make sure that you are that you're sharing it. Don't forget to do that. Hit the thumbs up, hit the bell, set your alarm for whenever. Just check throughout the day and see if there's a broadcast up. Until I get my renovations done, that's kind of going to be the way it is. Everybody have a good evening, and I will see you soon. Take care of